Okay, 7.4 day 2, we are still working on special right triangles. This time we get into what is called a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle, which is just that. It's a triangle that has angles of 30 degrees, 60 degrees, and 90 degrees. And we're going to talk about what is special about them. So in your picture to the left, go ahead and add in the box for a right angle, which would be 90. And then the smallest angle on the right is 30. And then the middle angle is 60 on the top left. So in this triangle, we have a hypotenuse, sorry about that. We have a long leg. The long leg is of the two legs, they are not the hypotenuse. The other two sides are called legs. The longer side is called the long leg. The shorter side is called the short leg. Let me rewrite that. So we have a short leg, a long leg, and the hypotenuse. The short leg is across from the 60-degree angle, and the long leg is across from the long leg is across from 60, short leg across from 30. Sorry, I mixed it up. Short leg across from 30, long leg across from 60. Okay. So what we know about these is the hypotenuse. The length of the hypotenuse is always 2 times the short leg. And the long leg is always the short leg times the square root of 3. Okay, so hypotenuse is 2 times, let's say the short leg is x, is 2 times x, and the long leg is x times square root 3. Okay, and those are the special equations that we're going to use. So in example 1, it says find the height of an equilateral triangle. So you make a guitar pick that resembles an equilateral triangle with side lengths of 32 millimeters. So what we have is a triangle. Try your best to sketch it so it looks like all the sides are the same. And they each are 32. And we're trying to find out what is the approximate height of the pick. So what we have here is each angle will be 60 degrees because it's an equilateral triangle. And up here, we're cutting the angle in half. So it's really 30 degrees each because 30 and 30 is 60. So we really have one triangle right here that is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, so I redraw it off to the side. 60, 30, and 90. And this is 32. Okay, and then down here on the bottom is going to be 16 because it's going to be half as big as the whole side. Right, if the whole thing's 32, half of 32 is 16. We are trying to find the height. Okay, in this case, the height is opposite 60 degrees. This is what's called the long leg. Okay, down here is 16. This is what's called the short leg because it's across from 30 degrees. And then over here we have the hypotenuse. Okay, so we're trying to find the longer leg. The longer leg is the equation up above here. Long leg equals short leg times square root of 3. Well, we know that the long leg we're calling h, right? Right here, long leg is h. The short leg is 16. So we're going to put 16 in for short leg. We end up getting h, or the height, is 16 times the square root of 3. Okay, and that would be our exact answer. You could obviously type this in your calculator and find out the height to decimal. Let's go ahead and do that. So if we type in 16 times the square root of 3, we'll get that the height is approximately 27.7. And this is in millimeters, so m for millimeters. So it's 16 square root of 3, if you want to be exact, is 27.7 if you want to type in a calculator and round it. Example 2. Find the lengths or the values of x and y. Write your answer in simplest radical form. Simplest radical form means no decimals. So if we look, we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Across from the 90-degree angle is going to be the hypotenuse. Across from the 30-degree angle is the short leg. And across from the 60-degree angle is the long leg. Okay, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the equations are hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. And the other equation is the longer leg equals the short leg times the square root of 3. So if we take a look, we know the short leg is x. So that means here this would be 2 times x. And over here this would be 2 times square root of 3. So we know the long leg is equal to, let me backtrack there. I messed it up. That's my fault. I apologize. Let me backtrack. The short leg is x, so that means this would be x times the square root of 3. I'm sorry for the confusion. It would be x square root of 3 because we are plugging in x for the short leg. Okay. The long leg is 8. So we put in 8 for the long leg. And the hypotenuse is y, so I'm going to put y in for the hypotenuse. So we substitute in for the short leg, the long leg, and the hypotenuse. We end up with 8 equals x square root 3, and y equals 2 times x. So based on what we have here, we have to solve the equation on the right first for x. To get x alone, we have to divide by the square root of 3. And we end up with x equals 8 over the square root of 3. So we know what x is, but we have to simplify this. And we kind of start working on radicals. It's not okay to have a radical in the denominator. So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by square root of 3 to get x equals 8 square root 3. And the bottom, square root of 3 times square root of 3 is going to be the square root of 9. So in the end, x equals 8 square root 3 over the square root of 9 is 3. So we're able to find out what x is. Now we take that value and come plug it in over here. Y equals 2 times x. So y equals 2 times 8 square root 3 over 3. 2 times 8 is 16. So we end up with 16 square root 3 over 3. So we found what y is and we found what x was by using the two equations from a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Okay, and these are a little tricky. The more we do, the better we'll get though. Okay, example 3. A car is turned off while the windshield wipers are moving. The 24-inch wipers stop, making a 60-degree angle with the bottom of the windshield. Sorry for the sound again. How far from the bottom of the windshield are the ends of the wipers? So what we're looking for is how far from the bottom of the windshield. So we're looking for this value right here. So we look at this triangle. I'll redraw it. This is a 60-degree angle, and this would be a 30-degree angle. And the wiper is 24 inches. So what we have is, we have the hypotenuse is 24 inches. Across from the 60-degree angle is x. That is the long leg. And then this would be the short leg over here. So if we write the equations, h equals 2 times the short leg, and the long leg equals the short leg times square root of 3. So what we have to do here is find out what the short leg is first. So the short leg is what we don't know. But we do know the hypotenuse is 24. So I fill this in, 24 equals 2 times short leg. Okay, so let's find the short leg. So we have 2 times short leg The opposite of times 2 is divide by 2. So we end up with the short leg equals 12. So now we use that and plug it in over here. So if the short leg is 12, that means the long leg is equal to 12 times the square root of 3. Which would mean that x is equal to 12 square root of 3, which means that the windshield wiper is 12 square root of 3 above the bottom of the windshield. And if we use our calculator to find out what that exactly is, we'll type that in because it's always good to know what that number really means. So square root of 3 times 12 is about 20.78 inches. That's how high above the bottom of the windshield that is. Okay, so this is a little tricky when we have to find out one side length to find another. So like in this one, we had to find the short leg in order to find the long leg. Okay, and then we have a couple checkpoints, and that is it for this section. So checkpoint 1, a 30, 60, 90 triangle, and we have the short leg and the long leg. So the equation is long leg equals short leg times square root 3. So the long leg is x, and the short leg is 2 square root 3. So x equals 2 times square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which would give us x equals 2 times the square root of 9, because 3 times 3 is 9, which would give us square root of 9. This would be 2 times 3, which means x equals 6. In number 2, okay, you can see that every side of this triangle, the big triangle, is 12, which means that it's equilateral, meaning all the sides are the same. If all the sides are the same, that means all the angles are the same, which means all the angles are 60. Okay, if the top angle is 60, that means each half will be 30. So what we have is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And we are going to try to find out what is the height. So we know what the short leg is. We know what the hypotenuse is. We don't know what the long leg is. So if we use the equation for long leg, it is long leg equals short leg times the square root of 3. The short leg is 6. And the long leg we're calling h. That is the height of the triangle. So we end up with h equals 6 times the square root of 3. And again, it comes back to that equation, long leg equals short leg square root of 3. Okay, and then the last problem is a word problem. In example 3, how far from the bottom of the windshield are the ends of the wipers if they make a 30-degree angle? So now that means we have the wipers, which are 24. Okay, and this time the wipers make a 30-degree angle. And it says, how far from the bottom of the windshield are the wipers? So we're looking for x here. Okay, so now above, remember example 3, this was the long leg. Now this is the short leg. And the hypotenuse is still 24. So we know the hypotenuse and we know the short leg. Our equation is hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. The hypotenuse is 24. And the short leg is x. So we end up with 24 equals 2 times x. How do you solve for x? we divide by 2. And we end up getting 12 equals x. And again, this comes from an equation from a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So the two equations that we're focused on here are long leg equals short leg square root of 3, and the hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. And then we have to do some multiplying or dividing to solve for things. All right, so that is 30, 60, 90 triangles.